I think it's fair to say that Raw is still WWE's A show, and as we learnt recently, come January 6, 2025, it is going to Netflix. That is a huge deal. Given its longevity though, sometimes the company did go totally crazy and gave you main events that would want you to go and wash your face. So do you want to get dirty? I'm Simon Miller and let's get into it and pretend the Lakers versus the Nuggets. That is right, NBA fans. Technically, two basketball teams have faced off in the main event of Monday Night Raw. This was really dumb, of course, and happened on the May 25th, 1999 episode, mostly because Vince McMahon is a petulant child. Because in short, Raw was booked at Denver's Pepsi Center when owner Stan Kroenke realized, oh man, my NBA team are playing that night, and I prefer them, so sorry wrestling, you gotta go away. Now to be fair, he never told WWE until the last moment when they had to move to the Staples Center in Los Angeles, when yes, they booked the Lakers versus the Nuggets, with the Nuggets being the heels and the Lakers being the faces. I mean, you couldn't make it up, but we actually did. It meant the bad guy team was made up of The Miz, The Big Show, and Legacy, who were taking on the good guy team, with John Cena, Batista, MVP, Mr. Kennedy, and Jerry Lawler. Trust me too, everybody was baffled by this, and I'm sure Stan Kroenke didn't give a damn. Like, with his PA run into his office, it was like, oh, you won't believe what WWE is doing. He'd be like, counting my billions of dollars. Get out of my room. Number 9, DX and Hornswoggle versus The Big Show, The Miz, and John Cena. But I don't think you could come up with a match that had any more weird names. And this happened during the guest host era of Raw. And look, 95% of guest hosts just didn't want to be there, which is why I quite like John Cena. At least he agreed to get in the ring. So on the January 18, 2010, when the one only Napoleon Dynamite did turn up on Monday nights, he was like, man, I'd love to be in the main event. So he went and came up with this schmuck. He asked The Big Show and The Miz for some reason, which is when DX took him up on his challenge, and they recruited Hornswoggle. I don't want to get into this. For some reason, Swogs was just a part of DX at this time. You tell me. Of course, Cena didn't do much until he was accidentally squished by The Big Show when Hornswoggle hit the tadpole splash to get the 1, 2, 3. Listen, this was fun for what it was, but just imagine we did this today. John was also there to promote his new film, When in Rome, and this appearance didn't help that film at all, because it was a box office bust. Let us never do this again. Number 8, Jim Ross and John Cena versus Alberto Del Rio and Michael Cole. This is Vince McMahon at his worst, because on the 17th of October 2011, he booked this match to appease one person. That was himself. It's even odder because it came live from Mexico City, so you'd think we'd probably give the star treatment to Alberto Del Rio, but instead we went and teamed him up with a commentator. There's also no reason for this whatsoever, and I want to have a word with John Cena and Alberto, because when the bell goes ding, 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 it's Jim Ross and Michael Cole who start the thing off. What the flub are you doing? Now it's just done so Jim could slap Michael as hard as he could across the face when Cena and Del Rio basically wrestled for the entirety of the match. But that begs the question, what were we doing this to begin with? Jim was then welcomed back into the ring so he could apply the ankle lock to Michael Cole, who had also been hit with the AA. Listen, proper superstars had been beaten by that move, so the whole thing was stupid. This is also how we built up John Cena versus Alberto Del Rio for the WWE title at Vengeance 2. So don't you tell me wrestling isn't better today, because it definitely is. Number 7, John Cena and Candace Michelle versus Trevor Murdoch, Lance Cade, and Umaga. Yep, you heard that right. None of those names that just came out of my mouth are wrong. It was July 23rd, 2007 though, and we had decided, come the Raw main event, anyone that is a champion has to be in the thing. So obviously we had tag team champions, we had secondary champions, and we had the WWE champion. But guess who the women's champion was? It was Candice Michelle. So sorry, Can, you're in. Of course, it just meant that John had to fight all of these guys, but they just wanted to beat up Candice Michelle. Honestly, never watch this. It will make you actually embarrassed that you were ever a fan of the sport. For some reason, Jeff Hardy couldn't stand this, so he's the guy that came out to make the save. When John Cena got magical powers from nowhere, he did whoop everybody's ass when he got the 1, 2, 3. It was Trevor that took the pin, and of course today we barely go near these intergender matches, so we would never do anything like this. And look, I think you should be able to do whatever you want in pro wrestling, but I much prefer the edict we have in place in 2024, because this thing was totally trash. Number 6, Marty Janelli versus Mr. Kennedy. Because why wouldn't you do this in December 2007? The best part is that Marty Janelli could have headlined Raw back in 1993, and here we were 14 years later, he was doing it again. But this was after he had returned for a reunion with Shawn Michaels in 2005, when he kept coming and going and coming and going. That was basically the story of his entire WWE career. He could never hold down a job. As it was the 15th anniversary of Raw, though, we did decide to do this fight, and I tell you this, Marty was as good in the squared circle as he had ever been. So let's just put an old fable to bed right here. It wasn't his in-ring skills that caused him all the problems. If you care about the actual main event segment, it involved Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, and Vince McMahon. But in terms of the last fight we saw on this evening, it was indeed Marty Jannetty versus Mr. Kennedy. Number 5, Sara versus DDP. That's right, Sara was The Undertaker's wife back during this period, and she beat multiple-time WCW champion DDP. Now all tied into the fact that Diamond Dallas Page had arrived in the WWF as the stalker of this family, and it kills me. It kills me deep down in my tum-tum. Do you remember Page in WCW? He was the people's champ and the most over guy ever, and Vince McMahon went, well, I see you as some sort of criminal. It's stupid. It all built to the August 20th, 2001 Raw, and because McMahon was desperate for all WCW stars to look like chumps, Sara beat him for the 1-2-3. And yes, of course, this was after The Undertaker whooped his ass, but a win is a win. I just don't think anybody needed this, and it totally ruined Diamond Dallas Page. I don't think he ever recovered. Before Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns and Gary the Goat Garber. Or Cedric Alexander pretending to be a janitor. I don't know. Don't ask me. Go talk to Vince McMahon. Although, nope, don't do that. It was the July 8th, 2019 Raw, though, and we must have been out of ideas, because Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre were like, whoa, Roman, we're going to take you on a tag team match, and because there's a janitor here, he is going to be your partner. And of course, the janitor gets in the ring, and he's all flippy-dippy-doo-dah, but he still loses. It's like, that's not the story. That's never been the story. The whole point is the surprise janitor is meant to win. And then after the fact, he still takes off his bizarre mask and goes, ta-da! It's me, Cedric Alexander. But what am I meant to take away from that? Dude, you lost. It also means he went to work and he dressed up as a custodian. Honestly, this will melt your brain if you try to figure it out. Let's move on. Number 3, Randy Orton versus John Cena Sr. So that sounded like I was repeating myself, but I am talking about John Cena's dad. The best day of his life was probably the September 17th, 2007 Raw. Now make sure you understand that John Cena's dad absolutely loves professional wrestling and even has his own promotion. So yeah, he was probably in party mode. This was when Randy Orton was feuding with John Cena Jr. too, and of course, because he was crazy, he took the younger Cena and he handcuffed him to the ropes and then was like, I'm gonna whoop daddy's ass. There's some flubbed up stuff. The absolute best part is that it's Cody Rhodes who made the save, and talk about that tying into 2024 when John Cena saved his father. It was just a beautiful, wonderful moment all round. So look, at least this was a somewhat interesting episode of Raw because it had an angle, but when it comes out of my mouth, still sounds pretty bad. Number 2, Eric Bischoff versus Trish Strat in 2003. I don't remember this at all, thank goodness. And the whole story was that Eric Bischoff was a total sleazeball here, so put Trish in the main event, who was having a terrible 24 hours. Just before this, she had lost the women's title. The worst part here is the stipulation, though, because if Strat won, she would get her rematch, which was written into her contract anyway, but if she lost, she would have to sleep with the guy that used to own WCW. The reason I cover my eyes is because I like to pretend it's not true. Eric had also recruited Victoria to attack Trish, meaning he did get the win, when thank Flubblesticks, Linda McMahon walked out and said, no, none of this is happening, mostly because you're insane. Bizarrely too, this was the build-up to tell Bischoff he had a brand new co-general manager, which was none other than Stone Cold Steve Austin. What? I mean, seriously, what a truly unhinged way to reintroduce one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Number 1, Howard Finkel versus Harvey Whipple. Now this was all the way back in 1995, so let's not pretend that the WWE hasn't been bonkers for decades. To be fair as well, the early Monday Night Raws always had crazy main events. I mean, one of them was Nikolai Volkov taking on a very young Matt Hardy. Clearly we needed more of this though, so manager Harvey Whippleman fell out with ring announcer Howard Finkel and said, listen here, you moustache man, you and I are going to fight in a tuxedo match. Now this was based off the fact that Harvey had stripped Howard off his clothes at WrestleMania, so now they were going to do it in a ring, and just let that ramble up in your brain for a while. Do you think anybody wanted to see this? No, they didn't, and Howard Finkel himself was totally against it. Now it only goes 2 minutes, they just roll around the floor for a while before the Fink does get the victory, Then in 2005, we did it again. This was with Tony Chimmel when Lillian Garcia got involved. And never ever forget, the only reason we ever do dumb stuff like this is because Vince McMahon found it funny. It's actually one of the massive reasons why it's good that he's finally gone. I'm sure there are some other nuts main events though too, so make sure you let me know them in the comments below. If you like the video, share the video and subscribe. And click the video on the screen where I give you more facts about wrestling. Otherwise, thank you for joining me as always, my friends. I'll see you soon.